sit like the school teacher who's trying too hard to be cool.
Okay.
Wow, this hurts my legs. I'm not as flexible as I would like to be. I stand, but my feet hurt.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Who are you?
What?
Who are you?
Oh, for those of you who don't know me, I am Khoi, voice actor based in Los Angeles, California. Who's a Genshin Impact fan? Yeah, so I voiced Albedo in that one. Let's see, who's a Fire Emblem fan? Yeah, I'm Kagetsu in that one. Who's a Demon Slayer fan? I voiced the buff mice in that one. I'm one of two voice actors who voices that character. Who's a JoJo's fan?
Me!
Yeah, I'm not in that one. But I did write part of the English dub for Golden Wind. And there's going to be a panel about writing for anime tomorrow, hosted by Laura Stahl. Speaking of whomst, who are you?
Hi. I'm Laura Stahl. I have 3 cats. And I like Nando's. But I mean, other things about me, I guess. You said that you like Genshin Impact. I played Barbara and Shinyan, and like a little ghost child, and Grace the nun, and a bunch of other things. And let's see, and I play Olir in Fire Emblem Engage, the female version.
Yeah.
Yay! Yay! And then I also play Ray in The Promised Neverland, and Iruma in Welcome to Demon School Iruma Food.
Yeah. That was popular here. I'm so pleasantly surprised. It's such a lovely show. Yeah.
Then I want to stay. A bunch of other stuff. But I also, I am actually in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I'm in Diamond is Unbreakable as Hayato Kawajiri. Yeah, thanks. That was a really stressful one. But yeah, so we're here to do a Q&A basically. This is where we get to know you and you get to know us. You can ask us questions and we're going to ask you questions right back. I'm just kidding. We'll see how it goes.
I just want to feel out the room here. Who here actually has voice acting ambitions or aspirations? If you raise your hand.
There's a couple.
Or if you're just interested. Alright, a couple of you. Cool.
Cool.
Or if you're just here to learn how it works, especially for Genshin.
Or if you just want to know our favorite colors or whatever.
Yeah, it's not just voiceover stuff. You can ask us anything.
Within reason. But yeah, do you want to...
Alright.
What do you think? Should we can either open up right now, or we can like go about like our quick little how we got into voiceover spiel quickly, because I feel like that's a thing that's usually asked when she.
Yeah, I think I'd actually rather wait until someone asks about it. I'd like to remain a little mysterious.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're mysterious.
Alright. Our friend Ed was it?
Ed. Hi, Ed. Everybody say hi, Ed.
Hi!
This is our friend Ed. He is in charge of everything. Those things, right? And
The hot weather, it's Ed's fault.
It's Ed's fault. No, Ed is gonna be a deer, and he's gonna run around and no, wait. Oh, there it is. And I'm gonna give him this microphone, and when you have a question, he's gonna pop over to you, and you can ask it, so we can all hear you. Cool.
I'll come across as fast as I can. My little niece, however, have decided that ibuprofen is a requirement.
We believe in you.
Alright, so if you had a question, now's the time to raise those hands.
Do you like Vocaloid?
Do I like Vocaloid? I have a very cursory, very passing understanding of what it is. But am I correct in saying that it's an artificially generated pop idol singer? Kind of, yeah, ish. It's like an AI personality? Not really. It's not AI. It's program. A program personality? No. Would you define it for me?
It's a singing synthesis program.
Okay.
We can copy anything we write about.
Interesting.
Then, do you like it?
I mean, I've seen some stuff like Hatsune Miku would fall into that category. Yeah. My first exposure to Hatsune Miku took place in, let's say, 2010, 2011. I remember seeing a clip of a concert, a Hatsune Miku concert, and I remember thinking it was very, very interesting technology. And the song was a banger too.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry that I'm
Oh,
not.
you're fine.
I don't mean
What
to
was
say
it?
that.
That one? You know the one I'm talking about? That one. I thought that was a catchy song.
Have I missed out
Yeah.
important?
I'll be honest with you, I feel like because I recognise and qualified veterans discount now.
What?
It's been so many years since I've heard that. That was like 2014.
Is it old?
It makes me feel old hearing it.
Oh, is it? Does it? Oh, okay.
So you're old.
I'm old, I guess. I'm gonna keep on Khoi. Alright. What about you? Do you like Old Boy?
No, I just wanted to know that you got talking.
Yeah, they're alright.
See, usually I'm the funny man and you're the straight man.
Alright, I'll take it. Next question,
Don't
please.
call me a straight man during Pride
I'm
Month.
sorry. I didn't mean to call you a straight man.
So, when you get into voice acting, is there an expectation for any role to have some sort of singing talent, or at least singing practice?
It's a good skill to have, but it'll surprise you how many people are successful voice actors but also simultaneously terrible singers. I won't name them, even though I desperately want to. But usually, if a part requires singing ability, the client who's looking to cast this part will include that information. And we're looking for someone who can sing. And if the person who's auditioning could include a singing sample for us. Because, you know, different types of voices fit different genres of song. And if you're a good singer and you think you're up for it, then the actor can submit themselves for consideration in that way. And people who don't sing know to avoid it. So there's no surprises, but there's no expectations either. What do you think?
Yeah, usually if there's a show or a project that requires singing heavily, they'll let you know that initially in the audition. But there are also projects in which, as the voice actor, you may not even know there's going to be singing, and they may not even necessarily tell you or tap you for it. Sometimes they'll hire a separate voice actor and a separate singer to play that same character, depending every once in a while. I had one particular project with that, and I was a little miffed because I was voice acting, and they're like, okay, there's going to be songs. I was like, really? Because I went to school for musical theater. And they're like, yeah, somebody's already sung them. And I was like, what? You didn't even give me a chance. But that's okay. It just depends from project to project and what their budget is. I forgot that I had Sharpie. It depends on their budget because they'll hire them as very different things. They may be covered by a different union every once in a while. So it all just depends. But if you are not necessarily a singer, it will not destroy you and keep you from voice acting. I will say it can be helpful, especially if you have those like vocally stressful characters that have to scream a lot, because it will teach you to use your voice in a healthy way so you don't destroy it. So it's a good idea. Yeah.
Thank you for your question. Who else? There he is.
Oh yeah.
Just more on the voice acting side of things. Have you both experienced a period of time as voice actors, like having a burnout, or like having to take a step back from voice acting just to have a breather type thing, or like that sort of thing?
That's a good question. Burnout seems to be one of the only two states that most voice actors I know exist in. The other one being because some weeks I'll find myself up to my freaking eyeballs in sessions, and I'll enter the booth and immediately I can't wait to go home because I'm just so tired already. I haven't said a word. And other weeks, it's just tumbleweeds. Like, oh my god. What? Everybody's forgotten about me. There never seems to be a happy medium, but I'm sure it exists. Anything there?
Sometimes you actually enjoy your job too.
Yeah, that's true.
Sometimes.
Well, I was gonna say, like, he's right. There's absolutely moments when you're walking in the booth, or you're about to get started on something, and you can just feel like, all I really want to do is take a nap. And you're so tired, and you're just kind of, you can find yourself caught in a position where you feel like all you can think about is the end of the session and just getting done. But then there's other moments as well where you're doing your job and you're like, this is what I get to do? Really? It's like, you remember that this is a dream come true. You remember this is what you've been aiming for so long, and like, oh my gosh, and you start, and there's this gratitude that shows up, and you can just have the best time of your life. I remember like the very first couple of seasons, especially of like Welcome to Demon School Year Movement, I felt so excited and blessed for that, because that situation was so uncanny. I did not actually audition for that show. I was in the middle of other shows, and the casting director came up to me and said, hey, I want to push you forward for this, but it's going to take up a lot of your time. It's the lead character. It's a comedy. Are you okay with that? Because you've got so much other stuff on your plate right now. And I was like, yes, if you want to pay me, I will take it. And getting started on that show, I was so excited and jazzed. It was fun, and I was working with people I really liked, and there's just moments where it sings. But then there are, of course, moments where all you want to do is hide under a desk.
I'll give you an example, right? Albedo in Genshin Impact, for example. It was the 2.3 update.
Yeah.
Have you guys played it?
Yeah.
Cool. If you haven't, you can watch. We've had 2 years to watch the YouTube videos. But that was some of the most interesting story stuff I've ever gotten to tackle as Albedo and the other Albedo. And as an actor, those are the moments that you remember and you treasure. You're really looking for these moments of depth and interest and intrigue, and just knowing that people are actually going to see these things. You know how when someone online expresses how impressed they are with a voice actor's performance, and the clip that they post is usually some really big, juicy, emotional, screamy scene? And Laura and I look at that and we're like, I guarantee you this actor's proudest moments was in one of the quieter scenes, the ones that call for more subtlety and nuance. Like, yeah, I think it's really cool that I screamed, "No, you killed my father," really loud in that one scene. But I'll be even more proud of the moment where maybe the character's in a coffee shop and he says thanks, and maybe there was something about the way that he says thanks that implies that, oh, he's got the hots or the hot barista or something like that. Those are the moments that a lot of us actors are more proud of than anything. And you kind of live for those bits and pieces. But yes, at the end of the day, it's still work, and work is work, and you do burn out. But the great thing about something like voice acting, a creative vocation, is that you also have a very a not insignificant amount of traffic with feelings of gratitude, and often you do run into very many interesting moments, and other times it's just what we call them boogie animes. Because the genre is sort of inundated with that stuff right now.
Sometimes I call them canames because it feels like it's like processed cheese. You know what I mean? It's all
That's a
very,
good point,
like,
actually.
you know, it's like
Yeah.
it's very formulaic every once in a while. Like there's definitely a place for them, and you know they're near and dear to my heart as well. Because number one, they pay me money, and number two, sometimes that's what you need to consume. Like every once in a while, you want to just shut your brain off and enjoy a story that you're familiar with and can sink into. And be like, I know which way we're going, and I don't need a surprise right now. I think I had a new surprise and punch up out of my skin, right? So every once in a while, they're wonderful. But then also every once in a while, they make you want to rip your face off. So it just depends on that one. But I think that's true of almost any any job, right? Or any career that you're in. There are gonna be some days where you're having fun and you feel really good and you feel good at what you're doing. And then you're gonna have those other days where like, I quit. Right? So yeah. Hey Ed, I had an idea, my love. What if you just hung out right here and we could let some of the people with questions come to you for your little knees? Oh, there you go.
I think my knees are fine now.
I just worry about you because you're jumping over people.
To be fair, you're the first person in 5 years to be like, do you want to rest and not run about? So I'm going to run with this. I appreciate that.
I was ready to abuse Ed's knees.
I mean,
I guess you want to abuse everybody else's, huh?
oh no.
Yeah. Oh, smart.
Yeah.
We've automated Ed's job.
Ed, you're fine.
Didn't need AI.
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't you hang out?
All right. Well, there's a microphone up front if people want to line up for questions. You are free to do so. Although I think we want the lines to start going this.
So why don't we
Yeah.
pop over this way?
Oh, if you want me to
Hey, if you want to pop that right here. Perfect, and you stand here. And we'll go right this direction.
am I right? Hello.
You're great to go.
I function as well.
That's okay.
So basically, when you're first, oh by the way, just one thing, when I said I haven't played Genshin, I do want to, because the laptop I have at the moment is very cheap and it's only a couple of I'm sorry, I will play someday. I promise.
Oh, you're fine.
But, so, like, when it comes to getting into voice acting and sort of, I came in slightly late, I don't know if someone else already asked this sort of question, but like, say you're really passionate about voice acting and you practice doing different voices your whole life, like imitating different characters and trying your own voices. Would it be enough for generally for most voice dubbing studios around here and what have you to just have a portfolio of doing different types of voices and different styles, or would they expect you to have some sort of formal training qualification in the art and acting and drama and so forth? How does that whole thing work out? Because I don't have any formal training, but I think it'd be cool for me to get into voice acting if I do get the chance, you know.
That's a really good question. And I want Laura to take it.
So, the short answer, my love, for whether or not you have to have formal training to become a voice actor is no, you don't have to. Acting, especially like in the States, I'm not necessarily sure about here in the UK, maybe there's something a little bit different going on, but it does not require any sort of certification, it does not require any sort of degree. Those things are more for yourself to get. For your own edification and own education. Education is a good thing to have. And I would also say that as a voice actor, a lot of times, especially from the beginning, the initial idea is to focus on voice. You feel as though, okay, if I want to be a voice actor, I have to have a million different voices that I can do. I've got to do every impression in the book to become a voice actor. And the simple truth of the matter is you don't necessarily have to do that. There are a lot of voice actors who, number one, have one unique sound, right? And then number two, all of those wonderful impressions that you're doing, while they might be great and sound just like those characters already have voice actors. Those jobs are already filled, right? So you're trying, that's a great place to start, but you want to move beyond that into creating your own personal sound and character. And the biggest thing is acting. You want to be an actor first, the voice comes second.
Yeah, when I was talking about doing voices, I did mean both imitating characters and trying to develop your own style. I did mean both of those.
Yeah.
While I'm up here, would it be just very quickly, since I'm dressed as Shinji, just while I have the chance, to do my quick voice impression thing?
Oh, cool.
Shinji from Evangelion, Shinji Khan.
Oh, wow. As long as you're not screaming your face up.
Alright, it is kind of a strange thing, but I'll try and subdue it a bit. I just got here, and you want me to get inside and pilot this thing? No, I cannot pilot this thing!
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. Alright, thank you for your question.
So, given that you both quite support two different characters, have you ever had times in the booth where, because you're running through different scenes, have a sort of a disconnect between your actual self and the character that you're trying to play?
Was the question, do we ever experience a disconnect between ourselves? Yeah. Yeah, listen, it's a demanding job, and at the end of the day, we don't ever really stop being ourselves, right? When we're not in the booth, we are subject to the human experience, just as you are. And I know that I myself and a lot of my peers have had to go into work at times following incredible tragedies in our lives, for example. And yes, it can be very difficult to shelve those feelings and emotions and just switch back and forth. Especially when you're doing anime, right? It goes, in America at least, it goes line by line. Because the engineer has to record you, tell you whether it's too long or too short, and then they have to finesse it within the existing flaps. And so it'll go like beep, 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 you say your words, and then the director finagles with it, the engineer finagles with it, and as they're doing that, you're kind of just sitting there and dealing with your emotions. And then the second they're reading about the next line, you have to make that switch again. It can be very, very challenging when, you're having to go into work very quickly following a difficult time in your life, or maybe a very, very exciting time in your life, and you're playing someone's father just died, for example. I might have just got married yesterday, but today in the booth, my dog exploded. It'll be really hard to sound sad. But and another interesting variation of that question that I've heard in the Philippines, for example, is I get this a lot, right? I myself carry myself very differently from a character like Albedo, who's a straight shooter, very scientific, very down to earth, and I like to play with God's con when I'm out in public. And people ask, well, is it difficult to switch between those masks? To which the fascinating revelation is everybody does it every day. You do it every day. How many of you find yourselves using a different voice when you're ordering at Starbucks versus when you're talking to your friends, for example? Or if you work in customer service, you have developed what's called a customer service voice, right? Yeah, we switch masks all the time, depending on who we're talking to. So, really, all of you are actors. Isn't that cool? Or do you have to...
Yeah. I will say, that's what I was saying earlier. You never really stop being yourself, and especially if you're an inspiring actor, you're gonna have a better time of it if you don't necessarily think of the character and you as fully separate things, or feel like you have to fully immerse yourself all the way in and go crazy method. There was a really cool story that I remember about two actors from a bajillion years ago. I don't even remember which ones they were. I think it was Dustin Hoffman and someone else. And Dustin Hoffman was doing a scene where he had just run and was out of breath in the moment because he ran away from something. And so he was running up and down the track while they were getting ready to shoot the scene and tiring himself out. And so they were about to get started. He goes up to his fellow actor, scene partner, who was just kind of chilling out, standing there waiting. He's like, "Hey man, how are you gonna do the scene if you're not tired?" He said, "Well, I'm going to act." And it's called action, and of course his friend doubled over and started breathing telling the truth as much as you can. And the way that you do that is you bring a piece of yourself into your character. Because then if you believe what you are saying, that will help the audience believe you too. But in the meantime, if you want to, like, you don't need to bleed stones or anything like that. It doesn't have to be such a horrible labor to create good art. Does that make sense?
Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you, my friend. Hello, new friend.
Hello there.
How are you?
Not too bad. I'm not used to talking about phones. I'm just doing a bit of kind of distance chat. But just wanted to start by saying thank you very much for coming all the way over here to see us.
Sure.
And,
Yeah.
and my question, I suppose, is more related to like acting versus directing. And so, like, what are your experiences, I suppose, in terms of a good environment with a good director, and how much kind of involvement does a director have at different stages of the process?
Do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first?
So as it happens, Laura and I both have experience directing, specifically ADR dub directing, specifically for anime, which moves at a very leisurely pace most of the time, or relative to something like that. You know, I've never been on a set, but Laura has it. She's fancy. But I found that having a background as an actor is definitely very helpful, because I know when I'm struggling in a booth, I know what I want to hear, the sort of guidance that I need, what I would find actionable as an actor. And you can sort of apply that perspective and understanding as a director, and when you're listening back to your performance, you're like, I bet I get the read I want if I told the actor to increase the sense of urgency. A lot of directors don't know to just say that. Like, they might say, give it to me louder and faster. Alright, but then you get a very, very artificial modulation of your previous take, versus something that is urgent, it's more specific, it's emotional, and it's actionable. Although sometimes do it again, to me, is actionable.
You made me do that.
I've directed Laura, and in fact I have just told her to do it again because I wasn't really vibing with the first thing that she gave me. And I was just a bit to buy myself time to find the words that I wanted to use to direct Laura. But yes, a good director to me is someone who is specific, that doesn't have to use too many words, directs from a perspective of emotion, gives something that is actionable. The worst direction that I've heard a director give someone, it's not my story, but I have a friend, his name is Jalen. He directs the dub of Iruma-kun. He's an excellent director. He often works as an actor as well. And he's had an encounter with a director who's told him, that sounded very apple and I needed more blueberry. Who knows what that means?
It means he looked down at the computers. He really, really looked down at the computers.
Yeah, there you go.
Perhaps. But to this day it remains a mystery. And maybe it might have made perfect sense to that director, but you can't really expect someone else to have deciphered whatever the hell blueberries and apples mean in your lexicon. So, yeah. What do you think, man?
As an actor first and then director second, it's nice to have that perspective. It's great when you're working on a project and you have at least a little bit of knowledge about all of the departments, because that helps you communicate between that number one as a director. And then number two, when you're working with an actor, the best way to get the things you need from them is to make sure that number one, they feel safe. They've got to feel safe where they are, and not just safe as in like, oh, scared and vulnerable, like somebody's going to be mean to me or they're going to get hurt or something, but safe as in it's okay for them to take chances and to make some mistakes and be bold so that if they do make a mistake or they go too far or they do something that sounds a little silly, you're not going to ridicule them or tell them they don't know what they're doing. If you make them feel safe, they're going to experiment and find something that's going to surprise you and them, right? Number one. And then number two, not only do you want them to feel safe, you want them to feel like they can also collaborate and communicate with you. So if they have a feeling, you don't always have to run with it. But as long as they feel heard and like, oh, actually, I feel like the character, like, would I do this? I don't know if this character would necessarily, or I would feel a little bit more comfortable if it was phrased this way. And they can say that in a way that's not going to make you feel like you need to, knock them back and like, I'm the director here, So if they feel like they're safe, they can communicate, and they're capable of doing the job, that can be a big deal, especially if you're working with somebody brand spanking new who's never done the job before. Because I know that especially in the first couple of jobs that you're doing, you feel very replaceable, you feel very vulnerable, and you're kind of scared, and you want to make sure you do a good job. If you as a director can help them to relax and help them to feel like, hey, it's okay, you can do this, and help them to feel confident, they're going to give you much better reads than somebody who sounds like they're terrified, right? Unless they're supposed to be terrified. Yeah.
Thank you very much. That's very insightful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, brother.
Okay, you'll have to give your business page up, put your names. Sorry. I've got a question for both of you. You young man, you said your favorite card was like albedo or whatever, but I'm curious. Has there ever been a role where you felt like fear, like the intention of like stress or fear, like oh, we had to put those emotions into it? And that's for you, Lauren. What was it like to record Leah's death in Fire and Engage in that scene?
Good question. So, every single moment I walk into the booth is an instance of fear. Even if I have confidence that I can portray this character, both in terms of character and vocal quality, even if I feel like I ace my audition, obviously I love what I do. There's a sort of gradual shift in your mental state as you're driving towards the booth. There's, oh cool, I booked a really cool new job. I can't wait to get there. I wonder how much they're going to have me do. I wonder what kind of project this is going to be. I wonder how many hours are going to be on it. What if they hate what I do? Oh my gosh, they're going to fire me. Oh no, stay calm. At this point, I reach the studio, I get out of my car, and I go right back into my car, and take 5 more minutes, and then I get out of my car, and I walk into the booth, and I say, hey guys, what's up? I'm here for the session at 5 o'clock. They're like, oh, Khoi? I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, for sure. This way, please. And they'll set me up into the, they'll mic me up in the booth, and then the director will come on. It's usually the first time you've ever met. The script will come on. It's usually the first time you've ever seen the script. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, so it's this guy. He's really cool. I'm gonna put this here. Really cool, and it's gonna be fun. I'll just go to a place here and something like this. And then you start recording, and all of a sudden he's up here for some reason. You can do so much preparation, but at the end of the day, when you're in the hot seat, what's gonna come out is what's gonna come out, and that's really difficult to manipulate. I will give you a specific example, and Laura kicks my butt about this all the time. I have what's called the pointed chin versus flat chin rule. And allow me to explain. My timbre, my vocal quality, skews a little younger, right, for somebody my age. And so, when it comes to deciding who I can play for myself in an anime, if a character has a pointed chin, I have a shot. But if he's got a flat chin, like one of those daddies, for example, then it would be absurd to hear a voice like mine come out of that face. If the character has facial hair, any sort of facial hair whatsoever, then it would be an absolute joke to cast someone like me. Now, a lot of people disagree, including Laura, but those are the moments where I get the most nervous. It's, oh God, do I sound old enough to be this person? And those are the moments that get me. What about you, Laura? What makes you crap your pants?
Wow. I think you were asking me about Alir's death, right? And how that felt, right? Well, first I had to figure out which death does thing. No, I know. So she, well, I mean, honestly, the recording the entirety of that whole game, I was quite nervous just in general because they let me know at the very beginning of recording that Lear had the most to say out of any other pro tag for Fire Emblem ever at all.
How many lines were there now?
I don't know, but in the thousands. And it was quite a lot to say. I had several hours to work in the booth, and this is the first time they're ever doing it this way. So you're the test subject. Good luck, and let's go. And I was terrified that, maybe folks wouldn't like it. This is a new format, this is a new formula, and they're kind of, stepping a little bit away from Three Houses, which did so well, so people might be upset, and I was like, I don't know if this is going to go well. So, I put as much of myself into it as possible. And I have to say that, especially recording some of those very delicate scenes, some of those very mournful scenes, I was incredibly lucky to have a really wonderful director at the time. His name is Christian Lamont, and he read those scenes with me. So whenever I had something to say to somebody, if those lines were not already recorded by the actor who was going to play them, he actually read with me in those scenes. And sometimes you don't get so lucky with somebody who does that and they just aren't reading the words on the page and they're not really into it. Christian really acted with me and really connected with me. So especially in some of those very tender and difficult scenes where I was actually crying, he was crying right along with me in the booth. And it was really intense and exhausting, I'll have to say. And I'm really grateful to have had that experience, and I hope that people enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed getting to record it.
Thank you, and I would love to help you become a voice actor someday, and I'm sure you'll be able to voice Static someday. I'm going to
Thank you, my friend. Hiya.
Hi. So my question is for the both of you, which character did you have the most fun voicing and why?
There's an easy answer for me. The most fun I've ever had behind the microphone thus far has been with Kagetsu for very few simple reasons. And those reasons being, there are a lot of very specific points of connection I had with Kagetsu. For those of you who've played Fire Emblem Engage, you know him as the extremely socially awkward dude from Fantasy Asia who just wants to make friends and eat food. And for so much of my life, that has just been me. I've been the awkward immigrant Asian who just wants to make friends and eat food and doesn't really know how to go about it. And it was really easy to access that headspace. Like the second I walked into the booth, usually there's a moment of meditation as you fall into character, but with him I was ready to go. And as I mentioned earlier, daddies are out of the question, but I feel like Kagetsu was baby's first himbo for me, and that was absolutely delightful. So, yeah, that's my answer.
Oh, golly, it's a little harder for me. I've had to play a lot of different characters that mean a lot to me for a lot of different reasons. Obviously, I had a really wonderful time out here because I got to fall in love with like a million different people for 1,000 different reasons. I had to make an alpaca noise for no reason. That was amazing. I loved, again, playing Iruma. Iruma is a sweet little bee that I identify with very much. Working on that show is always sort of like a homecoming for me. Each year that it gets to come back and I get to go back into the studio or online and work with Jalen and the people I love, it's almost like stepping into something very comfortable and there's really nothing like that for me. And then just some other really fun little impactful characters like Jean the cat from what's it? Oh gosh, the Way of the House Husband. I got to be a little cat that takes a poop in a yard and like all kinds of crazy things. So I'm just really grateful for the experience in general as a voice actor. Thanks for your question.
Thanks for answering them.
Yeah. No, wait.
No, it's not. I just wanted to add that sometimes it's not just who you're playing, but it's who you're working with that makes the experience delightful. And I'll give you an example. Genshin Impact, one of the projects in which I put the most number of hours, as time progresses, you really get to know everyone, and that sense of camaraderie that you foster can turn the workplace into a really fun place. Like, I'll walk into a session, like, hey, Chris, do I get to destroy Mondstadt today? No? God damn it, alright. And then we'll just record a couple of lines, doing some cute stuff, and somebody's thing. I'll be delightful. And then next time I get to destroy Mondstadt. And Chris will be like, we know nothing about what's going to happen. But yeah, and I'm sure Laura has a few examples of her own. But yeah, thanks for your question.
Thanks for your time.
Hiya.
Hi.
I know that normally voice actors have to do auditions to land roles, but you've actually sort of answered the question for me that you got recommended for a part in Europe. And I guess that already answered it, but is it that often that directors think of specific voice actors and think they'd be right for this role, or is it very rare?
It honestly depends on the project. I think it's quite usual, just in general, with the scope of how many projects happen at any given time. There's so many shows, anime, video games, and things that happen constantly, and some of them need, tens, thousands, hundreds, and sometimes even thousands of characters. And you have to populate all of these worlds, and sometimes more than one at a time as a casting director. And you can't listen to all of these auditions at once. If you think about Genshin Impact, right? How many characters are in that game? Not just the playable ones, but the NPCs and the creatures and all of these things. And it's growing and growing and growing every single quarter, right? And there are so many characters to fill. There's only so many voice actors on the planet. And it's a really popular game, so when you send out those auditions to the agents, you'll receive from any one agent maybe 50, 75, or even over 100 people auditioning for those 5 characters. And you're sending this to all the agents in town or all the agents in the country, right? So you've got thousands of recordings of the same 5 lines for the same 5 characters from all over the place. It's almost impossible to think of listening to every single one of them to find the one perfect person for every single role. So yes, every once in a while, especially maybe for some of the more minor characters or some of the very, very specific characters, casting directors will have actors that they know of, that they've worked with before perhaps. Or even that they received auditions from that they didn't get to cast last time, but they liked what they did, and they'll pull them up and say, you would be perfect for this, and they'll cast them. I have in fact been cast in a couple of different roles, and when I went into a booth, and I had an audition for, and I go into a booth, and they play a reference of something from a different job. Say, we want you to do something that sounds like that thing you did over there. And I'll be like, you got it, buddy. So yes, it does happen quite a bit. However, it is far more usual to have to do lots and lots and lots of auditions before you start making roles. Does that make sense? Do you have other thoughts?
It's like Laura said. A lot of it, mainly, it's an arduous and horribly long, extended process of auditions, which is hard for both the actor and everybody who has to listen to those hundreds of MP3 files. I have observed, as time has gone on, and this is true of every industry, how many of you here have been exposed to the delightful experience of doing group projects in school? So, exactly. Working in this industry is a lot like having to go do a group project. Would you rather work with a group of people you've never met and you're not sure that you can rely on them? Or is the idea of working with people whom you know are competent and whom you vibe with infinitely more enticing? Now, this isn't a question of what's fair or what isn't. Every single industry goes through the song and dance of Yeah, I know creating opportunities for incoming people is good, but I'm tired and I like Steve and I want to work with Steve. That happens pretty often. And most of the time, you understand that it's not fair, but you get it. And if you were in that position, you would be tempted as well. And if I were in that position, I would be wildly tempted to, to cast my friends, because I'm a coward. But I'm happy to say that at least the door is open. Sometimes it's cracked, sometimes the mechanisms are a little creaky, but it's not locked, it's still there, but there are also many, many more channels. And really, really weird ways in which people get roles. Ground zero for me was I won a voice acting contest many, many moons ago. And one booking led to another, and eventually it brought me here. So yeah, it's a weird world. But thank you for your question.
We're down to our last 15 minutes, so I don't know if you want to do more quick fires.
It's a little fast.
Alright, lightning round.
Hello. So in your voice acting career, how much does your work come from agents versus doing other methods like direct marketing or casting sites?
Ooh, funny thing. So I would say maybe at this point, 30% of what I do has come from specifically from my agent sending me out, getting me an audition, I read the audition, and then I get booked off of that. However, I have not used the casting websites, and I have not necessarily done direct marketing either. A lot of the work that I have done has been now because of these work kind of begets work and reputation and getting to know and networking with people. So the way that I kind of got started, it was through classes and taking classes and getting to know people within those classes and getting to know some of the teachers and things. And as that happened, one set of people who I was kind of working with and kind of studying with together, they happened to be about to produce an anime, and they gave me my first audition. And I was literally just hanging out with them on their floor, reading sides with them, everybody giving each other critiques because we were practicing. And then they actually got me a paid job as a character in Little Witch Academia. And then I happened to also be taking classes over somewhere else, and they kind of vouched for me later on, and then I got to audition with them with a particular studio that worked with that kind of school. And as that happened, I got to know that studio, and that studio started sending me direct auditions because they got to know me. So a lot of the work that I do, even within my agent now, those studios who know me personally go to that agent and say, hey, we want to work with Laura for this. Can you contact her for me?
Okay.
So that's sort of how that works for myself. But for everyone, it's very, very, very different.
So the math for me is quite similar to Laura's. I will say though, agents don't usually sign you unless you have a body of work, and it's hard to have a body of work if you don't have an agent. So you can see it's a very, very strange cycle. And the way to get into it is you kind of stand on the outside with your hatchet, and you wait for a crack, a very peculiar crack, and you gotta seize that opportunity, right? Or sometimes you gotta bide your time. Not everybody breaks into that cycle the same way. Laura did it her way. For me, like I said, there was an open audition at a convention in Los Angeles. I made myself known to those organizers. They liked what I did. I signed up for classes with them. That's how I became known to that studio. So in a way, that was me directly marketing myself to that studio. They started giving me work. I started building a portfolio. Agents became interested. They're like, hey, you want to work with us? I'd be like, sure. You opened some doors for me that weren't previously open, like AAA video games, for example. I don't know how many of you played Deathloop. That's a pretty cool AAA. I played a pretty cool character in that one. That was through an agent, and those projects don't typically cast outside of the agent pool, for example. But yeah, the short answer is it's all weird, and classes are a good first step.
Thank you very much
Yeah.
for your time.
Hello.
I suggest to do some quick topical performance based on your characters.
Oh.
For example, you do brief concept that and it will be from Genshin Impact. Just a quick, like, showing how they interact with each other.
Oh, golly.
So, Albedo from Genshin Impact meeting Ray from the Promised Neverland. Hello, young man. Welcome to Tesco Express. Where's your mother?
That's a very complicated question you just asked me. I haven't seen your mother for a while.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but somebody's gonna have to pay for that iron brew. So unless she gave you her wallet, I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to leave. I'm taking the brew with me! Bye! Hear me?
If there was like a re-release, like a remake of any anime or game, and you were able to, what character, out of any character that's ever existed, would most?
Oh my god.
Well, you guys know that Persona 3 recently got a remake? Listen, Persona 3 was the game that got me into voice acting. It was the game that, in a very stereotypically Asian way, I played behind my parents' back because I wasn't allowed to have video games. It was the first video game experience where I was like, man, this is cool, you know? People doing voices for games. Like, maybe I could do this someday. Or also, I don't know, it was a very special game to me growing up. And learning that it got a remake was very exhilarating. Of course, we all got our chance to be in it. That shit is now come and gone, unfortunately. But the realistic answer would be that one, which apparently is a very real possibility. That would have been my answer maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, before we learned about the re-release. Now, I want to say, and it could happen, but they are remaking a lot of Fire Emblems, and I do have a character in one of the older ones. His name is Walt. And I have another character in another older one. His name is Nils. That's Blazing Blade and Binding Blade, respectively, I think. Or I'll switch them around. So, yeah, I'd love for those to get remade because then it means I can show them. Hopefully. What about you?
I don't know. I do not know.
Oh, because you're a fake gamer girl? I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that. I love you. Laura wants to voice Pac-Man.
What I was going to say.
Ow.
Oh, gee. It's just the characters that I've gotten to play thus far are all sort of dream roles for me. So I've been really grateful and blessed to have gotten to do that. And it's hard for me to look back at other characters that other people have played because I can't really think of them as anything other than the characters that they were. And so what I would rather say is I'm really looking forward to what happens in the future and see what other characters the world comes up with and what gets thrown my way. I don't really want to put any sort of labels on anything. I like to be a free character agent, if that makes sense. Thank you. You're a butt.
But then I'm in a prison of nostalgia. I'm just kidding. Thank you for your question.
Thanks very much. I'm looking forward to your appearances and Nils and your appearances back.
Oh, yeah. Hi.
What do you feel when you hear about you being recommended for the voice of a character?
How do we feel about being recommended?
Yeah.
It's It's a good feeling. Listen, you won't find a more insecure group of human beings than voice actors. The voice acting creature is constantly hungry for any sort of validation, internal or external. So the idea that somebody would risk their name and vouch for us for a job is both simultaneously incredibly bamboozling, but also delightful in a really perverse sort of way. So yeah, that's how I describe it about you.
Why does it have to be perverse? It's just nice.
Yeah.
I get very excited if I find out that somebody has requested me or suggested me for something, especially if I booked it. It's great. I'm flattered and I'm excited to participate. Also depending on what the product is, is hey, we need a terrible actor. And not of you. That would be difficult. But if it's just a character to play and like we think that your skill set would match this really well, then that's awesome. And yeah, it doesn't really get much better than that. It's very gratifying. But everything's a case by case scenario. Thank you for your question. Hi.
Hi. Here you go.
I was just going to ask you about any quick tips for people who want to voice act and go more of like their accent.
Oh. Do you have ideas?
What was the question? Want to voice
Do you
act?
have any
Yeah.
tips for folks who might have some sort of accent or dialect who would like to voice act someday?
Oof. As someone who has had an accent, the only reality I know is the better you can emulate the Americans, the more likely you'll be cast, right? One acquaintance that comes to mind is an individual by the name of Bo Bridgeland, who originates from the UK and is part of the Genshin Impact cast. And he, as far as I know, for most of the stuff he does work on, he emulates the American dialect of English. I will tell you that the very valuable thing about having a sort of specific but almost unrecognizable to the figure being nondescript accent is authenticity is the name of the game right now. People are looking for people who really are from these places to voice these characters. I've played some characters in a yet-to-be-released game where the setting is the planet's been destroyed and it's 1,000 years in the future, so these nationalities aren't really these nationalities. And we're looking for a space Asian. Can you do something kind of Asian-y? And I'll be like, yes, I can. And they'll be authentic because I really spoke this way one time, so you don't have to feel bad for calling me up. So that's the advantage, is assuaging white American guilt. And I will tell you that Bo probably has an advantage when it comes to casting characters that speak in a British dialect, because a lot of Americans think that they don't read accurately, they can't. But the tendency will be to cast something authentic, someone authentic. So it used to be that Americans would win over actual British people because to the American ear, the American imitation of the UK dialect of like British pronunciation is it feels more accurate than an actual person from London. And that's ridiculous, but we're slowly, I think, flipping the script on that. And so, pretend to be an American as hard as you can, but don't forget where you came from.
Don't forget.
Because you can weaponize that.
We've absolutely seen in several breakdowns for auditions lately that have said, looking for authentic British dialect, looking for authentic Welsh dialect, and things such as that. Yeah, for real. So, it's a thing. Don't think that what you have naturally is a deficit. There's always more skills that we can add to ourselves, but just because there's more of a niche market for what you've already got going on, doesn't mean that it's not marketable, and doesn't mean that you can't add and grow your skills. Cool? Thank you.
Yeah. We got like 50 seconds left. Let's do it.
Hi. Sorry, I'll try to keep this quick. So I also asked something about voice acting. You kind of answered all of my questions already. So instead I'll ask, in Fire Emblem Engage, who did you romance and why? And Khoi, if you romance Kagetsu, how did it feel to romance yourself?
Listen, I've expressed this many times. I've always wanted to play a romanceable character in anything because it's the only way I'll love myself. It felt quite cathartic. It was addicting, in fact, and I look forward to taking over maybe a Harvest Moon game or, I don't know, Persona game in the future. I'd love to be a kissable boy in the future Persona game. Yeah, there's no yummier feeling than falling in love. And to be able to do so as your vocation is an incredible opportunity.
I romance Kagetsu because he'd never speak to me again if I did not.
Exactly!
No, it was actually, we started dating right around while we were recording the game. And so it was this funny, yummy little secret that we had, like, oh, did you record the line for you guys? And he said, yeah, I did, I got to hear you. And, oh my god, this is so cool. We were so disgusting. It was hilarious. But yes, I did romance Kagetsu, but I have all my little headcanons in the ring that I don't care. Kagetsu and Bushiron belong together.
Yeah!
But that's okay. Thank you for your question.
Thank you for answering.
Lightning,
Sorry, that's all we've got time for.
we can't just, there's nobody behind us, is there?
Security, we're going to get started. Moving them.
Oh, we go really, really fast, really, really fast.
Which of your characters would you think would be funnier if you replaced the face of the character with Rachel Thornberry?
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Quick.
Well, Aaliyah from Fire Emblem.
Barbara.
Super fast. That was super fast.
Okay, so I've just watched season 1 of Thomas and Lands, and I've been told by several people, don't bother with season 2, it's awful. Nothing voices, it's just the studio. I just want to know, like, why, if you know why the studio decided to put so much content and how your opinions are on that. Obviously.
I can answer that in depth tomorrow at my panel. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Great. But I had feelings. I'll give you that.
Thank you very much.
Hi.
How does it feel, like, hear your voice played back to you when you play a game, like, watch the anime you're in?
You know what? It's really weird. Have you ever heard yourself, a recording of yourself?
Yeah.
There's a scientific reason for why you're disgusted with it. I'm just assuming. But, the way we hear ourselves is different from the way that other people hear us. Some frequencies drop off before they reach a person's ear, whereas those frequencies stay intact when we hear ourselves through our skulls. So what we hear is much more refined, it is much more interesting, it's much yummier. But then you hear all those frequencies drop off and you hear a playback, and it's like, oh, and it's like, ugh. That's sort of why. We perceive deeper voices, more complicated voices, more attractive. And when we hear ourselves back, we're like, who the hell is this nerd? That's the scientific explanation for it.
Yeah, it feels weird, man.
Outside of Engage, well, in Engage, but other than like Kagetsu and Aaliyah, who's the favorite Fire Emblem characters?
I like Yunaga because movies.
Rapid fire.
I like Bushiron because movies.
Yeah!
Okay, really goofy question to finish up. So, as well as the mention, I love Cookie Run.
Yay!
So, if you yourself were input into a Cookie Run game and you became a cookie, what would your flavor be?
Well, I literally play Herb Cookie.
Apart from that.
Apart from that, listen, I really thought that, which was the cookie that Zach voices? The coffee flavored one. Espresso cookie. Because I kind of have the shape, right? There's the glasses and the long hair, and he's sassy. I just love coffee flavored desserts. So, that's my answer.
Marshmallow.